Hi, Philip Mandelbaum here, and once again with Customer Engagement Insider. Today we're talking customer intelligence and analytics in customer experience, customer success, customer support. And on that note, I have a very fantastic guest. Her name is Katherine Ketter, and she has been doing this for a very long time. Katherine is one of our featured speakers for this event. And today we're going to be talking about, I would say, a lot about the ways that customer experience and digital marketing intersect, the way customer experience and customer support intersect, and really what we mean by customer centricity and customer success. Katherine is a director of customer experience at Health Partners Plans, so she has significant amount of experience as it relates to healthcare. But I think, as we'll see throughout this event, a lot of this stuff translates across industries. Katherine, thank you so much for joining me. Really happy to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity and excited to talk.
Awesome. Glad to have you. So you've been heading up CX and support teams for a few years now. What, if anything, is the difference between customer experience and customer support?
Okay, so I'll start and just give you a little background. I've been in what we used to call customer service, for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So 25 years really spent in business operation leadership, healthcare leadership, and there's not a huge distinction really between customer experience and support, because whether you are in an IT center and you're the person that's helping ticketed issues, or you're the person in inbound or outbound call center working directly with whether your customer, whether that's, in our world in healthcare, it's a member, it's a patient, it's a provider, it's a community organization, but also we are all colleagues, so we're all providing that experience. So in my world, there's not a big distinction. We're all expected experiences for everyone. So, in this world today, anyone that we interact with could be our future customer. And so if I have staff at our office in Philadelphia and the UPS guy comes in, or woman, they come in and their interaction with us could influence them to then refer their mom, refer their grandmother, or say to a neighbor, hey, there's this business that I really think that you need to talk to. So in my world, they're one and the same, and there is not really a distinction or separation.
Yeah, I love that. Particularly the part where basically anyone is a potential customer. And you said it without saying it, that basically it's the golden rule, right? Like if I'm the UPS guy, I want to be treated well. And yeah, if I'm treated well, I'm going to be very excited by that. And I'm going to share that information with my mom, right, who may also need healthcare. So yeah, really, really solid point. Can you define customer centricity for me? I mean, to me, it's one of those words that defines itself, but is there a way of explaining it so that people can actually envision it, what it looks like? And not just centralizing the customer in all that you do, but can you also define what customer success looks like?
Mm-hmm. So customer centricity, the definition is that is putting the customer at the center of everything that we do. But when we think about customer success, it's really meeting that potential customer where they are and not thinking that there's a one-size-fits-all approach. One example is that we're very big on technology in this day and place, and we still take for granted that not all of the United States, not all of a particular area has access to internet. Not everyone can afford that. Or very often we hear from a customer that is low income, I have very limited minutes, I can't use data. And so we think that there's also this one size fits option where send the member to the portal, send the member, to telehealth services or virtual services. But it's that connection and that availability that we take for granted, as well as that the literacy. The average education level is a sixth grade education in our country. So it's also making sure that the language that we use is very member friendly. It's written in languages that our customer understands at a grade level they understand. And that's really what success is meeting the customer where they are. And again, knowing that one size fits is not going to work in every situation. So with an older population, it may be going to the places that they frequent, using radio, using television. With our younger population, yes, it's probably using social media and our social avenues and websites, and getting them familiar with self-service options. So that's the difference between the centricity and the success in my mind.
Love it. Yeah. Great answer. And for anyone who wasn't aware of our, I guess, one of our many societal issues, there was some learning there as well, right? Which I always love. So moving on and directly related, you talked a lot about how it, and rightfully so, how it works in your industry. And I think I'm already learning, at least how you guys do things, how specifically in your world, not only works, but how it maybe can influence some other worlds. So I know this might be a harder question, but can you think of anything that other businesses outside of healthcare can learn from the way that you do things? I mean, in a lot of cases, they might have a much more targeted audience. They don't have to worry about that diversity. But what are the hidden gems in what you do?
Yeah, I think those topics of equity is for every business. It's not just healthcare, but we have to think about how people access our businesses, again, how we communicate with them, how we market to them, and make sure that it's very customer friendly. It's, using marketing with people that look like them, that look like the people in their community and people that they connect with. And I think that's really the key, is just understanding who is the population that you're serving or your customer, and also getting that feedback. So regardless of whether you're in our space or not, getting that customer feedback. We have a big emphasis on Google, and I think some people forget how important the online review is. And what we found in the pandemic is that people are expecting more from any business. So they're also less satisfied with the same service they had received pre-pandemic. Really, again, getting the feedback of your members, doing spot interviews or, member segments where you're asking a couple questions about the things that matter to them. How do you prefer to receive communication? And, when I went out in the community and I asked customers that in person, they actually thought that we under communicated. And when I said, hey, how would you like to receive that? Mostly the text overwhelmingly answer was text and email. So, also not just sending things out through print communication or radio or television, thinking about all the avenues that you need in order to reach your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would you say, I mean, it's clear, you go out into the community. So that's a big part, understanding what your customers or potential customers need and want and how to address their pain points. How important is it to understanding the full customer life cycle and or sales funnel? How does that impact your ability to understand and address needs? And what about your agents? How important is it for them to understand where in the journey a customer or prospect might be, and also what their experiences have been leading up to their meeting them?
Yeah, so there's two important things like here. One is doing journey mapping, and that's essential for all businesses, regardless of what industry you're from. And the second one is really better equipping the people that are dealing with our customers to understand where does the process fall apart, and maybe not in the way that we think. So, it's very essential that you're journey mapping from time that a customer gets marketing information or gets that first call about your business to what does the intake process look like, what are the hours that your call centers are open, or how do people get more information, what's your kind of support mechanisms look like in place, to really meeting with people from all different segments of your business to say, where does this process fall apart, and then taking all of the members' feedback. I think in all businesses, despite our best efforts, customers still struggle. They may not know what number to call. If you have multiple numbers, they may not understand some of the information on your website. So that's what we do a lot, is really focusing on what are the pain points for our customers. And those pain points are gonna be different, or, based off of their age, based off of demographic information. And I think just trying to, really break it down for people and make sure that it's not just your call center that's responsible for this, but making sure all employees have this investment in providing the very best first-class service for the customers that you're dealing with.
Yeah, excellent. Well said, especially that last part, because a lot of us at CEI think long and hard all the time about the ways that digital marketing and CX and even employee experience intersect. They do say employee experience is the new customer experience. And it's, it sounds like at least there's a commitment to making sure that everyone on the team is committed, right? How do we do that while maintaining morale and engagement? And what are the benefits to this cross-departmental collaboration?
Yeah, so what we did is we built a CX Academy that all new employees come to, and that really helped to develop a foundation that, regardless of role, regardless of background, everyone now has a foundation for CX. So we teach about, our company's mission and vision and values, and that's relevant regardless of what industry you're in. But what is their personal brand? Because we can't expect them to go out and sell our personal brand as a company when they don't know how people perceive them. So we spend a lot of investment in that. We hear back from employees that's valuable, because the company is not just trying to advance themselves, but they're also trying to advance the employees. And we do a lot with trauma and informed care. One thing that you talked about is these past experiences. So when a customer's calling your call center and they're angry and upset and frustrated, they're bringing in all the previous experiences that they've ever had with anyone in customer service, whether that was someone at Amazon, the cell phone company, the utility company. So it's important for that respect. And then we do cultural competence in CX, knowing that a lot of our customers have varying needs, and those needs could be hearing disabilities or different abilities, could be vision different abilities, it could be functional different abilities, and that's how they experience whatever product or service that we're selling. So that's a great foundation, and that's really helped. We've had more than 100 new employees come through this academy, and they feel like they're part of the brand. They feel like, very invigorated into this foundation of customer service. So that's one thing. And then I think surprising and delighting. It's not just for us to surprise and delight customers, but surprising and delighting employees, really, developing recognition programs. So we have a digital badge program, an experience creator program, where when employees recognize for doing something exceptional, whether that's with a customer, that's with a partner or a vendor, or that's with another employee, we get a message about it, we send them a certificate, they get a digital badge, and then on top of the digital badge, they are awarded this in front of their peers and their supervisors. So I think that just goes to speak about, what we're doing that's a little bit different, and having those type of employee recognition programs is really important, and just kind of helps you build the business as you go along.
All right. Are you hiring?
We are always hiring.
All right. Well, I'm not going anywhere just yet, but anyone who's watching should definitely take her up on that. I mean, I honestly, I really am almost blown away. This is exactly the model that I would like to get out there to every business. I mean, just the way that you prioritize customer experience, your customers have to see the benefits of that. And also the way you tie in employee engagement, career development. I'm honestly, I'm incredibly impressed. Those are exactly the kinds of things that seem like they, are designed for exactly that integration and that business success. So, do you have any actual data coming from that? Have you been able to analyze the program over time? And I know it's relatively new, but are you analyzing results of that too, and seeing, if you can maybe address things in the course of everyday business or in the training?
Yeah, so I think the long-term strategy is really looking from that perspective at employee retention over time. How long did the employees that have now come through that service academy, typically stay? Because we want to retain and promote key talent from within. So, that's kind of one of the things that we look at. And I think that thing that's valuable with putting time and resources and, of course, money into having your own dedicated training academy is seeing, what are some of those things that come out of it. But I met with an external group one day and I said, hey, who have you met with here at the health plan before, and what was your experience? And they said the one thing that came across was how committed you all are to your customers that you're serving. Even the people in finance, the people in information technology, they put that customer at the center of what they're doing, regardless of the fact that their role is, 3 degrees removed from meeting with the actual customer member in front of them. And that just goes to speak volumes about the service. As for other data, one thing that we started was making calls to customers who hadn't had much contact with us. So, we often know when a customer is leaving our business, they're often being swayed by a competitor, in any industry. But we never had a voice with customers who didn't contact us frequently. And so, we call those customers, we ask, what's the experience that you're having? How are things going for you? What do you like about us? What are you struggling with? And that was really important data that shifted everything that we were doing, because it wasn't just voice of the customer with the customers that always called us or contacted us. Now it's voice of the customer with customers that had infrequent contact. And that has helped us to retain a lot of the customers that we serve.
Another brilliant and unique approach. So let's dive a little bit deeper for the sake of our audience today. We're very focused on analytics, on customer intelligence. Can you go a little bit deeper into the ways that you actually collect, manage, and use customer data? Do you have a CDP, for instance? And how does the data come in? How is it, how is it used within, and then how is it leveraged outward?
Yeah, so we have a CRM, which is Salesforce, which most people are probably familiar with. And that's where we get a lot of the data about voice of the customer and kind of leverage that. And we have specific analytics. They're probably similar to most call centers. We're looking at speed to answer, abandonment rate, and we want to make sure that we are also providing self-service. So a lot of times when call volume is high, we make sure that we have a automated voice response message on the line that tells the consumer, if you don't feel like waiting, you can go to the portal and you can use a self-service option. And I think that's where a lot of our industry is going, is that digital first or digital only experience, and then increasing self-service options and really having a channel strategy where in the past, we're providing general experience for customers. Now it's personalized. It's making sure that we know the customer's preferred name and what hours do they like to be contacted. And that pops up in the CRM when an agent is taking their call, or any one of us at the health plan are, working with that potential customer. So that's some of the kind of KPIs that we have. We always think of KPIs as key performance indicators, but my KPI is keeping people informed and keeping people engaged. And, so keeping employees engaged, they know what campaigns are going on at any certain time. They know what are the trends of members calling in or customers calling in, and, and also giving them more autonomy with service recovery where they can manage that issue in live time. They don't need to wait for a supervisor, or they don't need to say, well, this other department is going to have to get back to you. So figuring out what are core tasks that all staff should be able to do, not just, your call center folks, and then making that automated. So that's kind of, the SLAs and the metrics that I think are important to focus on.
I love that. I mean, minus the part where you said engaged with an I, because I'm an extrovert. That makes me crazy. But I love the concept, and I'm finding all of this very interesting. It seems like there are things that you're taking from the past, just customer centricity, like get all the tech, all the nonsense out of there. Like, we're just going to focus on the customer. And then you're taking things from the future, moving more toward self-service and things like that. So it seems like a combination of like a lot of the best parts of like what has worked, and kind of not trying to just do the things that maybe people are saying you're supposed to do. For instance, giving that amount of autonomy to a support person. Like, I think that's probably pretty unusual, and it works, I think, because you've trained them, and and then it works because they appreciate that autonomy, and like, it's just this long line that that makes it work. Before I let you go, though, I just it's interesting, like, I came from a time in marketing where as long as I did something cool, no one really asked me, like, did this have any effect whatsoever? Like, when, it was like, write this white paper for these clients. And if the clients, liked the white paper and maybe made an investment or something, that was a success. Nowadays, like, I am an expert in Google Analytics. I know this stuff. I have to know this stuff, and I have to report on it. And I'm not saying that's bad, but I like the idea of not only obsessing over that, right? Like, if you can get qualitative feedback too, and it's all positive, then maybe the obsession with, bounce rates or whatever is those, that might not be the best place for your energy. And on that note, you mentioned automation. I'd love to know what other tools you may be using that help in this more humanist process, that enable you to do it this way. And then finally, let's just close again away from that kind of minutia. I want to know how important personalization and empathy and transparency are. When you move away from one of those things, how quick does a customer catch on?
Yeah. So to your first question, I mean, everyone needs the basics. You're going to need some type of CRM that's able to contain your information. When you're looking at potential vendors, I think, if you're a company that's using a specific CRM, let's just say Salesforce, then all these other vendors do need to have APIs or plugins that are going to work with the technology that you have. And I think this day and age, everyone needs to investigate some type of digital platform, whether that's a texting app, that's, a dashboard that's going to really show you your key customer data, because it's all about what you can really present to someone and then break it down into digestible chunks, not just sending an Excel report, but really, showing them the whole journey of the customer. And it's great that you touched on empathy and customization, because that's the core of what we do. Empathy is the most crucial skill in customer service, because it is connecting with that person, that customer, not saying, I know what you've been through because I've been there too, because our two experiences, while identical, could be different in aspects, but really, being there in the time for the customer that's calling you, making sure that that that's their golden hour of need. It might not seem like a priority to you or I, but it is a need for that customer that's in front of us. And then, of the 3 C's of customer experience, choice, convenience, last one is customization, which is the most important, and really, customizing that experience with one another, checking in on one another as colleagues, because, it really starts with us. If an organization can't get customer service right within their colleagues, then you can't get that right within your customers or the people that you're serving. So, knowing what people like to be called, knowing the hours they like to be called, what are the types of communication they prefer, and making sure that you have those opt-ins in your business platform or your business system to meet them where they are all the time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Catherine. I think we might be friends in a different world.
Yeah.
I appreciated everything that you had to say. Anything else you want to add? For instance, I'd love to know if there's some crazy story, that can illustrate what a CX leader should never do. Anything like that, or you ready to bounce off today?
No, I think the worst thing that you can do is make a one size fits all. And, the worst thing you can do is be tied to, we've always done it this way. And I think the best thing you can do is really questioning, why do we do it this way? Is it because it's the only way we've ever operated? Is it because based off of data, it's the best way for us to operate? So the worst thing you can do is to try and, hold yourself or to stymie yourself. And I think everyone needs to say, why do we do it this way? And what could we do better?
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue, by the way. In a couple weeks, we have another event on the future of customer engagement. And if anyone attends that one but hasn't seen this, I'm going to send them back to this one, because I think a lot of what you're saying, and I talked about this already, it comes from the past. It's intuitive almost, but I see it as the future as well. We've seen the Great Resignation, right? Like, if employees don't want to be there, you better hope they leave, actually, because otherwise they're going to be providing pretty bad experience to the customers you want to stay.
Yeah, just like you said, customer experience is really the new bedside manner, and we have to kind of make sure that we're giving that great experience to everyone that we meet.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Katherine. I appreciate it. Stay in touch.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Great.